Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Anastasia here with another Teen Mom Recap. So this episode starts with Kail, who is recording her podcast in LA. And her next guest is Amber Portwood. While people are setting up her mics and everything and all the sound equipment, Kail's like, wow, you guys got me feeling like a real podcaster. Which implies that she doesn't even see herself as a real podcaster. Kail says Amber is hilarious and they can't wait to have her on. When Amber comes in the room along with Andrew, they're all hug and say hi. And Kail's fellow podcaster Lindsay says, wow, he's huge. Yeah, that's nothing. You should see her ex. It's kind of a trend. Andrew advises Amber to curse a lot and tell the truth during the podcast, and she's very excellent at least one of those things. Then he leaves and the podcast gets started. Immediately, Kail brings up the Instagram feud between Amber and Janelle. Amber admits that she freaked out, but she was just so mad that they weren't talking about her man that she just had to say something. She calls Janelle disgusting, but also in a strange moment of clarity, she admits she wasn't proud of how she herself responded. Kail said that it's weird because her and Janelle used to be so close. They talk about how it's sad that both the OG and the Teen Mom 2 girls, respectively, used to be so close to each other and now they're not. Roxanne admits that she actually likes John. She asks if he likes Florida, but Brianna and Brittany are having none of this moving for each other stuff. Brittany says that she should be catching flights, not feelings. And Brianna is wearing a shirt that says property of nobody. They're going to bring Nova to a gymnastics tryout and allow time for Lewis to watch Stella alone while they do this. If anyone actually watched Teen Mom 3, you might remember the iconic scene where they did the same thing with Devon. Well, actually, they pretended to go grocery shopping, but just parked the car down the street until Devon copped out, and texted them to come back because he couldn't handle it. Then when they came back, he was sweating like a pig, freaking out, and basically handed them the kid and ran. And that's basically what happens this time. History repeats itself, and it's a sadly beautiful thing. While they're talking about Lewis watching Stella, Nova actually says, well, Stella doesn't really like her dad. Brittany tries not to laugh, and Brianna says, well, she hasn't had time to warm up to him, and she doesn't really know him. Well, not surprising, Brianna barely knows him either. Nova keeps coming in with the unintentional roasts, though. She asks, well, how come she likes my dad, then? Brianna says, well, because Devon's so cool, and Brittany says he has swag. Janelle meets up with Barbara out of town. Janelle's planning to take Jace to see her friend Jamie in Kentucky. She thinks it's important that he gets to go on a trip one-on-one with her, and not have Kaiser there or Ensley, so all her attention is focused on him for a little while. David doesn't know about it yet. Chelsea's shirt might say thug wife on it, but she's actually not being too much of a thug wife. She got a new security system for her house, but she's still staying at her mom's all day, watching the cameras basically all day. And she says she hates how everyone knows that she's home alone all day thanks to being on TV. Things with Jason and Leah are not going well. In fact, she admits that they broke up. Leah says that her kids can't determine who she's going to be with, but the fact that they openly disliked him so much was off-putting. Jason was on his best behavior when the cameras were around and when he was around her friends and family, but behind closed doors it was a different story. They would have a lot of disagreements and arguments about parenting, and he would get openly angry and take it out on everyone, though not physically. She also felt like she didn't meet his expectations. She cooked and cleaned and watched his own kid for him, but she never felt like it was enough. The breaking point was when it was 30-something degrees outside, and Jason wouldn't let her dog inside from the garage. She brought up the issue, and he told her to take her dog and go home, and she did. She said she felt like he was toxic and just not right for her. I think Jason did put on a display for the camera, so it's hard to pinpoint what's off about him, but a lot of people still picked up on it. I do think there are little moments where you can tell how controlling and unreasonable he was, especially leaving her poor dog in the cold like that and telling her to leave him there. And her kids hating him so much is also a bad sign. Nova's gymnastics tryouts are today, and Lewis is going to watch Stella. He walks in the door, and Stella sees him and smiles and runs right up to Brianna, who is standing right behind him. Had me fooled for a second there, too. Brianna tells him where everything is, and he picks Stella up, and they leave. And Brianna probably looks at the feed of the hidden security camera she put around the house to watch Lewis. Who knows? Kail hangs out with Amber a bit before she has to leave. She says she's been doing pothead stuff. Amber's like, what's this pothead stuff, bro? Probably hoping for, well, not hair care. Kail says that she delivered it to her, but much like her third book, A Letter of Love, the customer never actually received it. Amber says she won't burn it, she'll use it. I think she was still holding out hope that she would be able to burn it, if you catch my drift. Amber says that what Barb said wasn't funny, or actually, it ain't funny, is what she said. Kail thought that since Barb was older that she should be wiser, and that the death joke really just came out of nowhere for her. Also, interestingly, she mentions how every time David or Janelle or Barbara say something that makes the news, but Joe filing for child support hasn't made the news yet. You can almost hear like a little bit of jealousy in her voice over that, like why would you even mention that otherwise? Anyway, Amber says to make Joe get a contract so there's a guarantee he won't file for child support again after she writes in the check. They have another court date coming up soon. Janelle talked to David about taking Jace to Kentucky, and of course, he wants to come too. Supposedly, David has family there. Kind of ruins the whole one-on-one time thing, huh? Janelle knows that they won't film with him around, and she's put in an uncomfortable position that she says puts strain on her marriage. It was also during this time that she changed her relationship status to single on Facebook. In the end, David got what he was probably hoping for. Janelle decided not to go to Kentucky with Jace and canceled the trip entirely. Nathan gets a haircut. I sort of can't believe his hair is a result of a professional barber. And jokes about the Barbara killing Kail joke and setting hair care on fire thing. He says the drama is getting worse because of David and that David needs help. Victoria talks with Leah, and Leah reveals that Jason randomly showed up at her house wanting to get back together. Addie was there for it, but the twins were with Corey. Victoria then reveals that Jason actually called her up when Leah wasn't answering, saying, "I don't know if you heard about our breakup, I love her, I want to do counseling, she won't talk to me, please try to talk some sense into her." That's some manipulative, weird stuff, using her sister to try to force her to talk to you. He's also been texting her nonstop and randomly showing up at her house. Creepy. Annoying. If it wasn't obvious by this point that Jason is being super manipulative, it just gets worse when Leah says that he offered her the key to his house, and she wonders why she waited until they were fighting to do that. It's almost like a bribe. Which begs the question, did she not have a key to his house when she was basically living there? Addie had actually told Victoria that Jason came to her house and creeped her out, which is like a red alert thing to say. Leah did not get back together with him at the moment, at least not yet, but for now she wishes him the best. Watson is sick. Chelsea gives him medicine and then goes to pick up Aubrey. Chelsea is super anxious and being kinda bitchy. She says Aubrey needs to help her out when she picks her up, and insists that Aubrey is sick even though she says she feels fine, because her cheeks are red. It's snowing outside Chelsea, I'm pretty sure that's why her cheeks are red. In the midst of it, she mentions that she has never gone anywhere alone with all her kids, which was a little weird. Does Cole literally accompany her every single time? Lewis is watching Stella, so of course she turns on hard mode and starts wailing, coughing, crying, generally making Lewis regret this. He probably hoped she'd just sleep the whole time so he could scroll through Instagram. He texted Brianna that Stella was livid, and if you read between the lines close enough, you can almost see him crying and begging Brianna to come back. Nova made the gymnastics team, and Brianna drives back. She's disappointed that Lewis is so easily overwhelmed by Stella. She holds Stella when she comes in, and Lewis gives Stella another creepy smile to apparently punish her for crying earlier. Kail and Joe worked out a contract for her, and Joe said he will drop child support if she pays him back. In the end, they both signed it, and the court accepted it. Smooth my hair back here. It's looking kind of ridiculous. Kail writes him the check and gives it to Joe when he comes by with Isaac. Isaac is mad that he lost a game recently, and Kail's like, "Oh, it's okay, don't be mad that you lost. I've been losing all my life." If anything, Isaac just looks more disturbed. I'm sure the thought that his life is going to turn out like his mom's is scary indeed. After Joe leaves, Kail is just glad it's all over with. Since Addie was there when Jason came by, she relays what happens to her sisters when she sees them, that Jason and Leah broke up. Their reaction is basically, good, none of us liked them anyway. Addie says he wasn't even cute. When someone says that he hogged Leah, Leah's like, "Well, I'm not going to be with you guys as his dad anyway, so I'm not going to be single forever. I don't want to be a single crazy cat lady." I guess she'd rather collect kids with every guy she meets rather than cats. Watson turns out to have strep throat. Chelsea goes to get antibiotics and is stressing like crazy and snapping at poor Aubrey for trying to talk about her books. Brianna got a letter from the state about child support. She learns that if she files for child support, Lewis will have mandatory 50-50 custody. She sends this to him in a text, and he says, "Okay, that's cool." Always a man of many meaningful words, Lewis. She texts back that she's not okay with giving him 50-50 custody because he wouldn't even know what to do. He texts back, you can read the whole thing here, but it basically says that, "I don't mind going to court because they're going to give me my rights." Brianna says that he gives no effort and barely sees her. She doesn't want to do child support anymore if it gives him custody. It's kind of funny that she's glad to take his money, but not so happy to let him have his child. But on the other hand, I do see her point of view. It's pretty clear that Lewis isn't going to actually want to take care of Stella half the time and probably won't be able to handle it. And that's all for this episode of Teen Mom 2. Do you think that Brianna is being unfair by dropping child support so he can't have 50-50? And do you think Jason was being manipulative to Leah? And was Chelsea being harsh on Aubrey? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and make sure to subscribe for Teen Mom Recaps every week.